Yes, guys, welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV with your pre-match pub-up specialist, your boy Dave. Make sure you smash the like for your boys Ben and Sim. Smash the subscribe button if you are new. But, of course, we are joined by the one and only, my sidekick, Paul, down from down under. How are you keeping, my man?
I'm pumped. I've got withdrawal symptoms from Tottenham Hotspur, by far the greatest football team the world has ever seen, and we're going to get to see them in an hour and 23 minutes, and I'm pumped. I can't wait, man.
Oh, same here, my man. Postecoglou ball is back, and I cannot wait to see it in action as we blood them blades today. Jacob, how are you keeping, my man?
Hey, good morning from Texas, USA. I woke up at 6 a.m. ready for this, but you know what? Haven't even had any coffee, but it doesn't matter, Dave. It doesn't matter, Paul, because Ange Postecoglou is that shot of espresso I've been craving for 2 weeks. So I can't wait.
For sure, absolutely. I think everyone's in the same boat, right? International football is becoming a bit of a burden, a bit of an interruption. So hopefully we can reclaim the form we were in before that international break. Now we'll just run through some details for everybody. Of course, we are at home at the greatest stadium in world football, and that is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3 p.m. kickoff. Referee is Peter Banks. So as I said on my show, if he makes wrong decisions, I want to hear chants of the referee's a banker. That one they can't give out to you for. Also, in the VAR room, it's Graham Scott. And then if you want to watch the game on TV, they're continuing this stupid initiative about trying to get fans help to support lower league clubs, discriminating against teams that are actually good and the fans of the teams that are actually good in the Premier League. So that's why it's not shown on TV in the UK or Ireland. So I would suggest trying to get on some VPNs very, very quickly, or, get onto the watch along that the boys will be providing here straight after. Also in the USA, the game is on Peacock TV. In Australia, it's on Optus Sports, and in Canada, it is on Fubo TV. Just running through some injuries. Bentancur, although back in training, which was great to see them clips, he's not ready for today's game, along with Ryan Sessegnon, and the Celso is out with a muscle injury. Sheffield United are missing Ryan Brewster, Koulibaly, John Fleck, and Norrington Davies as well. And a massive congratulations to Ange Postecoglou and James Maddison becoming Premier League Player and Manager of the Month. So more of the same this month, please. And everybody else in the chat, please get in your score predictions, your thoughts heading into today's game. But look, Paul, what is your general thoughts heading into today's game? Is it going to be, is it a game we should expect to win?
Well, I think as fans we want to win and we expect to win, and I think we will win. But football's a funny game, isn't it? I think we've come through the international break unscathed. That's the main thing. There's no one that's pulled a hamstring or sprained their ankle or anything like that. So the signs are looking good, aren't they? I think.
Is there any fear that having that break could ruin momentum, though, Paul? We've seen it before with Tottenham, right? I think it was the October international break.
That's old crap, Tottenham. There's Tottenham last year, man. This is the new invigor. Ange won't let them sort of slack off. Would you like a bowl of caviar now that you're an international superstar? No. It's back down meat and vegetables, man. Tomato sauce. I think the guys are going to be raring to go, man. Raring to go.
I really do hope so. Jacob, is there any fear on your end about us recapturing the form we were in before the break? Of course, us still unbeaten in the Premier League.
Fear? No fear in my eyes, Dave. When I wake up to watch Ange Postecoglou, I have zero fear about what we're going to do. Now, again, Paul's point, last season, these kind of matchups versus the newly promoted teams, bottom of the half teams, we knew we were usually going to squeak out with a 1-0, maybe a 1-1, maybe a 2-1 if we're lucky. And now it's like, I don't care if we go down a goal because I know we're going to get it right back. That's the whole point of this style of play is you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And more often than not, I think we're going to be living by it, my friend. Because honestly, again, I love something that Paul's always said to me about Ange Ball, which is it doesn't matter if we concede 1 goal or 4 goals. As long as we score 2 or 5, we're good and we win the match. So I have no fear. I don't even think it's going to be that close personally, all due respect to Sheffield United. But I just really think this is going to be a very fun, enjoyable day for all Spurs fans.
Look, Look, we haven't done well against teams that sit low block against us before, and that could be down to not having enough creativity in the team. But even earlier on in the season against Brentford, a lot of the game we sort of played everything in front of them. We didn't really create a lot of clear-cut chances, but it was our first game back in the Premier League. But also, it was the first game without Harry Kane, so it would have been a bit of nerves there. And you still, since then people have come out of the shell. But this game is going to be different to the likes of Burnley. Burnley, they played a high back line. They tried to press. They tried to come at us. Fair play. They tried to play football the way many fans like it to be played. However, Sheffield United will sit back. They'll play there. They call it a 3-5-2, but it's not. It's a 5-3-2. They'll sit back, play that. They'll look to play a long ball to Ollie McBurney, and they'll get what's his name, Cameron Archer to run off him. He's the guy we really need to watch out for. Cameron Archer. He's the one that has bagged some of their goals so far. And they'll play like a traditional old front two did, big man, little man with pace. But defensively, they are going to keep it tight. They are going to sit two banks behind the ball. And it's up to us now to break them down today. I think it's an easy game for us to return to. That, in fact, the fact that I expect us to have a lot of possession. And we shouldn't have to do too much chasing around, pressing, this, that, and the other. I expect us to be in possession and be very comfortable in possession. But it's about how quick we move today. How quickly move that ball. What you don't want to see is slow passes, everyone just going through the motions. Because that's actually what Sheffield United want, and that's actually playing into their hands. They want everything in front of them nice and slow. Make it an easy day for them too. So what we need to do is that ball has to be popped around with a bit of zip. People's first touch has to be right. Then they have to look to move it on. But also, you want your creative players, the wingers, which is what you paid them to do. Get fans out the seat, get on the wing backs, beat them one-on-one, and make things happen. Once you take the wing backs out, you're on that tree, that back line of the tree then, and then you've got your midfielders running in onto the edge of the box and stuff like that. So you'll have options. So we have to do that today. But Paul, do you think we would have learned lessons from that Brentford game? Because the majority of that Brentford game, we spent passing the ball across that two banks of defence. We didn't really penetrate or create any clear-cut chances. Do you think today would be different?
I think so. And it was also early days as well. That was their first game in anger. And, there were a little bit, especially in the first half, we were really quite tentative. So I think today we're going to have a bit more tails wagging. And if they do decide if Sheffield do decide to park the bus a bit and put 11 men in their own penalty area, I think we've seen in the game since Brentford where players like Udogie and Basuma and Solomon, they're very good at the short, sharp passes. So I'm pretty sure we can, thread our way through that and get a few goals tonight.
I'd also add to that, I think we've got a lot more creativity, right, Jacob? Before it was more Kane was the creator. You had Son there running off, finishing it. But outside of that, you didn't really have too much. Now you've got Maddison, Solomon, Basuma can create. Papa Matasar with that pass against Bournemouth, for Maddison has shown he can create. So we should have a lot more options to be able to break them down, this a low block team this time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave, I think when you look at the way that Sheffield United line up, you are right that they will play this 5-3-2 sort of setup. But they didn't play that all season. The first week against Crystal Palace, they played a 3-4-3. The next week they played a 3-4-3. Then they went to the 3-5-2 or the inverted 5-3-2. And so when a club is constantly, 2 games they have this formation, then the next 3 matches they have this formation. To me, what that shows is they're still trying to find themselves. So play the low block all you want. Play us in the fight that we want in the parking lot. It doesn't matter, because if it's a low block, I have no doubt the likes of, excuse me, James Maddison, Heung-min Son, even Brendan Johnson coming off the bench likely. I know we'll talk about lineups, etc., but Kulusevski, he's been improving steadily each match. Granted, not to the level that I want to see him at, but he's been improving. Solomon showed a lot of creativity in his first Premier League start for us. So there's no reason to believe that when we face a low block team of Sheffield United's quality, that we should be able to break that down. This is a good test, a good bringing back into the Premier League, because remember, we have 2 weeks off of football, so these, Son playing for Korea, Brennan Johnson, Ben
Yeah.
Davies playing for Wales, etc. So they're all playing different positions. Brennan Johnson was playing like as a striker for Wales. So
Mm.
they're going to need moments, right, to get themselves into the game. But I think that's what the first 45 is for. We
Mm.
always see in the first 45, we bring the fight to the opponent and we see how long they want to fight this fight.
Yeah.
Manchester United wanted it for about 35 minutes. Burnley wanted it for about 25 minutes. Brentford, they wanted it for about 40 minutes. And it was a little hard. I think Brentford is a little harsh for us to look back analytically and say, we did this, this, and this wrong. Because again, first Premier League start for Vicario, first Premier League start for Udogi, first Premier League start for Mickey Van de Veen. This was the first time Mickey Van de Veen hadn't even had a week with the squad until we threw him out there for Brentford. He looked class.
Mm.
So my point being is we are still coming into our own while they are
Yeah.
still trying to figure themselves out. That is
Yeah.
the perfect opportunity for
Mm.
a lion. When you smell blood,
Mm.
you got to pounce. So I'm
Mm.
confident.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Just me, I'm a bit skeptical with these sort of games because, even if you go back to the season where we were playing good on the content, we got Champions League football. That Brighton and that Brentford game, they sat low block, condensed the middle, didn't allow us any room to play. And a lot of them same players we still have in the squad today. And the improvements we have made, of course, is Madison and the players across the back line. But we haven't, that nearly derailed us and stopped us from getting Champions League that year. And I don't want fixtures like this derailing all the momentum we've had because it can very, very easily happen if you're not on it on that day. So for me, I just hope no silly mistakes and everyone's on it. Everyone wants to get that win, build that momentum heading into the Filth next week, which I can't absolutely wait to beat because I think we're going to surprise them next week. Also, I forgot to mention you got Pedro Porro delivering UK wide. Sheffield's next on his list. He's another one that can throw in some great balls and assists, another one that's a goal threat. And I would say another thing we could utilize today is we've got a lot more goals outside of the box than what we've previously had in this team with the likes of Madison, with the likes of Sarr, with the likes of Porro carrying them threats. We can also score from distance, Sonny as well, of course. So Solomon's another one that can do it. So we've got a lot of players that can shoot and score from distance as well. So we do have different arsenals in our attack to be able to get the job done today. But I think that I think how big the scoreline will be would depend how early we break them down. We break them down early, we're going to go on and have an absolute field day because at some point they'll have to come out, they'll have to play. They can't keep sitting in and surrendering. If the later it goes on, I think we'll get away with the win, but I don't think it'll be a massive scoreline as everyone's predicting. So I do think it comes down to how early we score. But look, Paul, just quickly before we move into maybe talking about lineups, if Ange Postecoglou wins today, that makes it 13 points from our opening 5 games. Our best start to a league ever since the 1965 campaign. I mean, this guy, Paul, he's breaking records, right? It's what you promised.
Well, that's what his deal is. He does it everywhere, and also if we win this game, this will be Ange's 50th home game in a row that he hasn't been beaten in. The last time he lost the game was a home game with the team he managed was Yokohama in November 2020. So, I mean, that to me says how much he gets the home fans on support. And you saw it. I saw it at Yokohama, saw it at Celtic, and I'm amazed how quickly it's happened at Tottenham. It's a real credit to the Spurs fans how loud they're shouting for him and for the team, and it's like a 13th player. 12th and 13th player on the pitch. So, I think the records are there always to be broken, and I think we're going to smash a few more before the season's out.
And look, hopefully it continues because last season under Conte we got off to our best start ever and then it completely derailed. So hopefully we can continue this streak that we're on, and I do think it's here to stay. We've already put 3 wins on the bounce together, something we failed to do last season, and today we'll make it 4, and it just keep building that momentum, that winning feeling, and with that it makes you feel invincible, and then any things that come your way you think you can deal with. So long may this winning feeling continue. Go on, Jacob.
Can I add something there? I want to say that a comparison in regards to last season's start to this season's start, I'm going to say yesterday's price is not today's price. Because if you look at the way that we won those matches last season, it was by the skin of our teeth, the scruff of our neck. We barely got out there alive. These other
What I will
matches,
say,
we're
though,
having
Jacob,
fun.
is stats does suggest we probably should have conceded more than what we have.
Are you saying last year we should have
No,
conceded?
now, this season, stats are suggesting we should have conceded more than what we have.
That just
Well,
shows you how good stats are, right? Because we
well,
didn't concede. So,
and that's the thing though, right? Like every match, I think we've all looked at it and said there's been opportunities where the opposition could have and should have finished their dinner. But the thing is, regardless of that, we're still putting goals on the board. That's the whole
Yeah.
name of the game. You score more goals than them, you win the ball game. And that's where we're at. And honestly, if United finished one of their chances, we still win that match. The only match where I would say if that we got sort of lucky is Brentford, because there was that in Wemo that he could have had 3-2, I think it was, in that match, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
my point by saying is the major differences in the way that we're winning, the style in which we're winning. I don't mean the stats suggesting expected goals, expected assists, etc. I'm talking about when I watch the game and the way in which we dominated these teams so far is completely different than the way we sat back, allowed teams to come at us, and then pounced on our opportunities and got lucky that way. This is we're doing that plus creating our own opportunities. So it's almost you have to stop us, not we have to go and get it from you. It's coming regardless. It's like the rain. It's coming regardless. Let's just make sure this club has a roof over their head, and if they don't, they're all going to get soaking wet, and that's the reality of it. So again, looking at last year and the best start ever that we had, I think a lot of Spurs fans, most Spurs fans, I would say, all felt like this isn't legitimate. We've gotten lucky so many times that the results are favoring us, regardless, not us favoring our results. And I think it's the other way around this time. That at least is my hope.
No, I do think there's credence to what you said. I just want to get Ange Postecoglou past October, November. You look back at the history over the last couple of years. Pochettino sacked, I think, November? You had Nuno sacked in October. Conte, when things fell off and he, was before the World Cup. That was October, November time. And then also under Jose Mourinho, he was sacked. We were top of the league up until October, November. The wheels fell off, and he could have went in around that time as well. So for me, I just want to get Ange Postecoglou past the October, November stage, because I have seen this from Tottenham teams before, where we've come out, we've done well, but we haven't been able to maintain it. So hopefully we can maintain it. And look, Arsenal, Liverpool up next will be a true test and really see if we can really maintain that. I want it to happen. I really do. I don't want any Spurs fan to suffer anymore, suffer what we've had to the last three and a bit years. It's not right. We all sit here and pretend that football doesn't affect our mood for the week, but it does. Reality is, if you lose on the weekend, you're pissed off all week. Now that we're winning, we're bouncing from game to game, and that's the way every Spurs fan's life should be. So hopefully we can get Ange Postecoglou past that October, November period, and we can really kick on. But look, let's get into the lineup.
Dave. Stats can't tell you how to feel, and I can tell you, last year, last year. Like, okay, I agree with Jacob. We were getting results, and I was kind of thinking, okay, we're getting results. Maybe when we start, if you can get results when you're playing badly, then that's a good sign. Because when you start playing well, then it's all going to flow. But despite the good start, I was just feeling like a jaded old pragmatic fart. Whereas this year, the points are kind of irrelevant in a way. I'm feeling like a teenager. Watching Tottenham. I'm loving every minute of it, and I think all the fans are in the stadium, and that flows onto the pitch, the players, the manager, the staff. We're creating a really good energy about the place, which wasn't there last year.
No, 100%. But I think my point is, it's been there at the start of every manager, that good energy, that initial manager bounce. And I just want it to sort of continue. And I really hope it does. I think it will under Ange Postecoglou. I think the fact that there's been a change in leadership gives him a much better chance to be able to sustain it. Whereas before, with the old leadership group, they've proven they couldn't handle doing it over the course of a full season. Whereas I think with the new leadership group, the likes of Sonny, Madison, Romero, I think Ange Postecoglou has a much better chance of succeeding, because with the old leadership group, they ran the dressing room, but they also ran the football club. They had to say with Daniel Levy, they had to say with managers, this, that, and the other. Whereas now with Ange Postecoglou, the players run the dressing room, but Ange has to say on everything else outside of that. And I've always argued you can't have players going above a manager's head because, it makes the manager's job irrelevant. Now, with Ange Postecoglou, that won't happen. And Daniel Levy can't listen to them when the football is being played that's out there. And it's evident how far this guy can take this football club if we continue to back him and not let old serial losers who's let us down time and time again affect this. So, look, hopefully, I do think there's a chance that he can continue on. I think that change in leadership will ensure and allow that. But look, let's move on. The lineups are out in 3 minutes' time. So let's talk about what we want to see in the lineups. I'll go quickly because I will be bowing out at 2 o'clock. Look, I think you're going to see much of a muchness same team. Of course, Vicario coming back in. The back four will stay the same. With Porro in there, I think we have to start Porro over Emerson because Porro is more creative. He scores goals and assists goals, and he's got a good pass on him. So I think he has to play it right back. The midfield tree, I think, stays the same. Up front, look, there are arguments to say this game would suit Richie more than Sonny because with Sonny last week with the hat-trick, there was a lot of space for him to run in behind, which allowed us to get him in behind and score them goals. With them playing a low block, playing 3 centre-backs, 3 big guys he's going to be up against, will it suit Son as much? Will he get them chances? Will he get that sort of space? But for me, you can't drop a guy after scoring a hat-trick. He has to play up there. And if we want this guy to be the main source of our goals or that goal scorer up front, you have to put him out in games like this and test him and so that he finds a way to be able to deal with it. So when it comes around in the future, he has the the tools in his arsenal to be able to go out there and execute, depending on how many defenders, etc. So it's a real opportunity for the guy to really, come out of Kane's shadow and really be Mr. Tottenham Hotspur and take this club to new heights. He's got a golden opportunity. I think he takes it. I think the other talking point would be Kulu, or not Kulu, sorry, Solomon. On the left-hand side, I play Solomon today. He came off. He had 2 assists against Burnley through that appearance. And for me, I think you've got to continue playing him today. I think he's a useful asset out there. Kulu on the right, I think he's going to have a big performance today. If not, I think his position is under threat, especially with the arrival of Brennan Johnson. And if he comes off the bench and has a good game today, Johnson, it puts Kulu under even more pressure. But look, that's what I would go with today. I would like, if there was a possibility, to see a debut for Valise off the bench at some stage as well. Will that happen? Because unlike Richarlison, Valise can't play left or right. So what do you do with Richarlison then? Do you take him out from up front, put him on the left or the right if you want to bring him on? But then does that ruin his confidence even more? We all know he's going through a lot of problems right now. Does that affect him even more, the fact that we're not playing him up front? So there's a lot of sort of, things around Richarlison at the minute. But it'll be interesting to see whether we can get Valise off the bench and let him make his debut. But do expect changes in that front line. I was reading this yesterday. Now, if you look at a lot of the changes Ange Postecoglou has made, they've all been, a lot of them, and have all started with the front 3. And the reason why is so that he can keep the relentless pressure, keep them running. And that's why Kulu still keeps his role in the team, is because of the running stats and the workout out of possession that he provides, so that we can keep them penned back rather than sitting back in and trying to grind out the result. So that you will see changes in that front line. But look, that's it for me. Over to Paul, over to Jacob. Paul bringing up the live lineups for you guys and bring you all the way through to the live watch along. If you've enjoyed what I've had to say, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Simply get over there, smash the subscribe button, and help your boy out. But look, that's it from me. See you later, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Let's get the win. Let's blunt the blades. Let's go.
Come on, Dave.
See ya.
Big up.
See you, Dave.
So, Paul, you driving the car now?
Yeah, I think I'm driving the car, man. Now that the teacher's gone. So,
right.
Just following up from what Dave's saying there, what sort of lineup are you thinking about here, Jacob? Are you thinking any changes or tinkering or overhauls? Where's your mind at, man?
Personally, I see it as the squad that went out away from home last time out in the Premier League put 5 on their head. So why would I change anything? And actually, I just refreshed Tottenham Hotspur's official Twitter or X.
It's out.
It's out. It is here.
As
so I'm speaking, it is out. Here we go.
Okay, so the lineup, citizens of planet Earth, for the match tonight between Tottenham Hotspur and Sheffield United. In goal, Vicario. Right back, Pedro Porro. The dominating centre midfield, centre defensive partnership of Romero, Van der Ven goes from strength to strength. At left back, we've got Udogie. Udogie's there. The midfielder of Saar, Basuma and Madison. I'm salivating. I'm salivating already. And up front, Kulusevski, Son as captain, and Solomon. You picked it right. You picked it right, Jacob. It's an unchanged 11. On the bench, we have
Oh, I don't like
Foster.
this.
Oh,
I don't like it.
oh.
I thought Ashley Phillips was supposed to be ahead of Eric Dyer, but apparently Eric Dyer's
Well,
made his first substitute
okay,
appearance of the
well,
season.
I don't think he's going to get on. Davies, okay. Royale, yeah. Højbjerg, Skip. Perisic, Richarlison's there. Johnson. Oh, I was lulling me into a sort of ennui, sort of a state of boredom there. But when I saw Johnson at the end there, I'm thinking, okay, I can get excited again. But the first 11, man, unchanged from our smashing at Burnley. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Love the 11. Love the 11. They went out and put 5 on Burnley last match. So obviously this is a side that can work together and be effective in the attack. So I like the 11, but I'm trying really hard to not like just stare at the 1 4-letter name that
I
really,
know.
it is kryptonite to my
Hard work,
happiness.
eh?
It is really hard. I'm trying to think. The question was about the 11, not the whole 20. So I'm trying to. Please, Romero and Van de Veen don't get hurt. Please don't go get subbing off or. Oh my God, I worry a lot because obviously now, I mean, Dyer has to be our first choice off the bench, right? For the center back, he's the only other. Him and Davies are the 2 center backs on the bench. But Ben Davies plays the left back he's kind of the security for Ugodi. So, geez, I don't know, man.
Let me throw this one out there. Bearing in mind,
Yeah.
I know nothing about football. What about Højbjerg at centre back?
I've heard that thrown around. I'm cool with that over Eric Dyer for
Or
sure.
Skip even?
I'm cool with
I mean,
anybody over Eric Dyer, but I'm
I'm
just curious.
just saying Foster. Anyone but Eric Dyer.
So I woke up this morning and Alejo Veliz is allegedly with the squad, and I was like, okay, so maybe Veliz will be on the bench. You know, he can now train with the team. So I guess maybe they wanted to give him the full match day experience. But Ashley Phillips not being on the bench, that actually worries me. Like a sour apple. I mean, isn't there some kind of fruit, Paul, that if you put a rotten fruit with all the fresh fruit, the rotten fruit makes the fresh fruit rot very quickly because of just science? So I think this is the same thing here, and I hope the bad apple of Eric Dyer doesn't permeate into the 11. But when you look at the 11, I mean, this has got to be our strongest 11, no?
Well, it's a nicely balanced 11, isn't it? That's what I thought when we played against Burnley. As well as it being very good, it was there was no weak links. Everyone was supporting each other, and Son was just irrepressible against Burnley. So I'm really excited to see Son up the middle again with the captain's armband. I mean, I'm really happy about that, and we got Solomon in there who did have a great game against Burnley. Options off the bench. I mean, I'd expect Richarlison maybe to get some minutes towards the end if we're thumping them. But Johnson, are you excited that Johnson's there? What do you think he could offer Ange on the pitch?
I think he offers a lot of things for Ainge on the pitch. The number one thing, the quality that we're talking about, is his pace. And I think that was the first thing that everyone looked at when they pointed to Brennan Johnson and what he does well. My only thought as to why I was like, maybe he gets the start today is because when you look at past events, Mickey Van de Veen got the start after about 3-4 training sessions. Granted, that was a position in which we were heavily needing somebody new. Whereas you could argue the Kulusevski thing, he's been progressively getting better each match. So potentially that is just Brennan Johnson could be that depth that we need to come in at the winger position. My thought, though, was maybe he gets the start because this is allegedly Ange Postecoglou's number one choice. This is the guy that was Ange Postecoglou's number one transfer target. So surely, but don't call me Shirley, he's got some kind of plan for this guy. He's got some kind of idea of how he wants to use Brendan Johnson if that's his number one target. So with that in mind, that's why I kind of thought yesterday, I was like, maybe Brendan Johnson should start if he is in fact Ange Postecoglou's number one transfer target, because if I have a number one transfer target in my mind, I'm already thinking about how I can use them before they come into the team. So there's got to be some kind of plan there. And I would imagine that Ainge already knows what that is. And the rest of us are soon to find out.
I'll throw you a bit of lemonade here, because we've got a bit of dire lemons in here. Foster over Lloris. I mean, okay, that's all right, isn't it?
That shows some good signs. I mean, with Postecoglou's quotes yesterday, it would lend you to believe that he's not going to just put someone in there who hasn't earned it, right? That's what he's trying to tell me to believe. But then I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, Paul. So when I look at the factoids, which is Eric Dyer refusing to...
Factoids. It's not even a word, man.
Yes, it is. Factoids is for sure a word.
Factoid means like a fact that isn't a fact. Dude, come on.
Okay, so the factoids, I don't even remember what the dang question was, but the quotes coming out from Ange Postecoglou suggest that whoever is getting the call up to the 11 or the bench was because that they earned it on what they showed him in training. I don't know what Dyer showed him in training, but the little bit of...
Are you questioning Ange? Are you doubting Ange, Jacob, here, or?
I wouldn't say doubting, but questioning.
Questioning. Okay.
Like when your dad's driving the car, you question, did you have to go that fast on the right turn? I still trust my dad to get us there safely, but like maybe you could have slowed down on the right-hand turn a little bit, is all I'm saying. Because Ashley Phillips, to me, he can offer us exactly what Eric Dyer offers, but potentially more. I use it as almost like a Schrodinger's cat type of situation when it comes to Ashley Phillips versus Dyer. Dyer, let's say he's $1, right? Ashley Phillips is a mystery box. There could be $1 in there. There could be $5. It could be $100. For all we know, there could be $1 million in that box. We don't know until we open the box and look. And by Phillips not being on the bench, feels like we're just disregarding the mystery box. And we're saying, I'm fine with $1 on the bench. And for me, it's just not good enough. I don't want to see him come in at all. If he for somehow saunters out onto that pitch, I will be a furious, furious man, Paul. But your question was about Forster over Lloris, so I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So in regards to that,
by the way,
I think Lloris is a better keeper than Forster.
Out there, you can go to Jacob's website, MexicanAliensAreal.com. But anyway, back to Foster.
Oh, we're going to talk about the Mexican alien now.
No. I just thought I just plugged your website. That's all.
There you go.
We're going to go back to football now.
Yeah, right before Congress. No, the way I look at it is, I think Hugo Lloris is a better goalkeeper than Fraser Forster, personally. But again, how many disgruntled people that wouldn't leave the club? How many of them on the bench until it's just a toxic little bench over there? When you look at the likes of some of the characters on, the last thing I want to see is Giovanni Lo Celso sulking on the bench. I know he's out injured today, but then you got Dyer sulking on the bench, Lloris sulking on the bench, everyone just sulking on the bench. That little bench area become kind of a black hole of energy, right? That's what I don't like to see, Paul. I don't like to see the fact that Dyer's made that 11, But the 11, if I'm just focusing on the 11, I'm very excited about the 11. I just fear now if there's an injury, if there's a little, my hamstring's a little tight, let's precautiously sub him out. Guess who's the first choice off the bench? It can't be Davies because he's supposed to be our left backup. So, man, I'm telling you,
I think Ben Davies is like a utility defender. He's supposed to be versatile, isn't he? So.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I see the comments saying Phillips staying at U21 currently will be better in the long term for his development. I agree, but I mean, there's all different types of ways to learn how to swim. Some people take swimming lessons. Some people fall into the pool and have to survive, and others, get thrown in by their father. And that's what I wanted to see with Ashley Phillips. I wanted Ainge to toss him into the pool and watch him as he struggles and/or figures out how to swim. I mean, to me, there's a lot of clubs out there that have these young kids come through their club and they give them a shot and just see this is Sheffield United. I'm not trying to take the piss out of them. I'm just saying that this is a team that we're going to have oodles of opportunities, and I'd rather see our options on the bench be someone whose ceiling isn't set in stone.
I mean, you're not sort of putting Sheffield United down, but you would have been happy with 11 toddlers on the pitch rather than Eric Dyer, I think.
I would have been better off with you and I on the bench than Eric
Yeah,
Dyer.
yeah.
I'd rather at least sit there and make it a fun.
I've got 5 good minutes left in me,
Yeah.
I've still got it.
Yeah.
I mean, just on the defence though, Romero has come in for a lot of flack in recent months, and the fact that he's got he's got no yellow cards and red cards, but he's got 0 fouls, 0 fouls this season. What do you put that down to? Because, okay, I think the thing that caused the debate was, he'd be flying in for tackles and there'd be cards here and there. But this year, he is just pristine, squeaky clean. How is it a change of attitude, mindset? What do you reckon?
The quotes have come out, Paul, that Christian Romero just didn't like Antonio Conte.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Those quotes have come out. So I don't want to, when new evidence comes to light, things will be changed, right? And
MexicanAliens.com.
I mean, when we go in front of Congress and talk about aliens, it's legitimate. So what I'm saying though is Christian Romero, let's one faction of it, I think, is having a competent human next to him, a guy who can actually do a job. And Romero has faith in the fact that he can do a job. Look, if you're doing, I know this is a team sport, right? But when you look at center back partnerships and pairings, now I play goalkeeper, so I was close to center backs. I know the kind of, if you have a good relationship with your center backs and they have a good relationship with each other, then I think that you start to see a different Christian Romero. Like we've seen from week 1, he had 4 training sessions with Mickey Van de Veen, already playing more confidently with him than he did with Eric Dyer, who he played a whole season with that first season when we thought he was wonderful. So in regards to the flack that he's gotten over the last couple months, I mean, statistically, he's been almost absolutely perfect. I think he's missed maybe a couple of things. Mickey Van de Veen, same story there. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's one side of it. But the other side of why I think Christian Romero has been coming good is because he's always been that player. He's always been that guy. And just like we're saying with Yves Bissouma, who is now playing free, who is now saying that, he's playing the best ball of his life. He's enjoying it. You see the videos coming out from the locker room. They're dancing in the locker room. The vibes are immaculate. Why is it just Bissouma that all of a sudden when Conte's gone feels the shackles come off, right? It's not. It's the entire club.
Did you see Bissouma's assist when he was on international duty?
The one where he took the soles and ankles of 2 different individuals? Yes, I did. That was
Tommy's
absolutely
the goalkeeper.
disgusting.
He had the other team just flying all over the place, man.
Just falling over. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
The way he picked it up too, I think it was like on top of the box, and he drove it all the way through to the byline, and at the byline he juked a defender, and then he did the little with the goal. You don't do that if he did a little with the goalkeeper, but you don't do that, Paul, if you're not feeling yourself, if you're not in your zone, if you're not that guy at that moment. Which 2 man of the match performances in a row for Yves Bissouma lends you to think that he's not only fully back, but he's never left. The same thing with Christian Romero. The same thing with Youngmin Son. Down the middle now, we're going to see revitalized.
When you're talking about, having a bit of confidence and doing fancy stuff, like Son's first goal against Burnley, where, it was him and the keeper, and he was shaping up as if he was going to just whack it, and he just pulled it. So the keeper just thought, got to get that one. and it was just a delicate little dink over the
Ding.
keeper into. Oh, it's beautiful,
Boop.
man, beautiful.
Just a nice little boop. But you don't do that. Is like you score that goal if you're on 15 of the season or 10 of the season, or you've had a goal every match, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
don't do that. It was just very coy, very cheeky, and it was just honestly, I had to hold back the emotions in that moment because the water was going to flow, Paul, and that first goal because I was just so happy for
From
Son.
your eyes, or
Orifices, we'll put it that way.
oh, okay,
Orifices.
just the general
In
spilling of.
general, yeah, just in general
Yeah,
spillage, Hoover Dam, so to speak. But what I'm saying is that kind of finish from Son shows that he's confident in where he's at because that was his first goal of the season. But again, who scores that kind of goal as their first goal of the season? That's absolutely absurd. So this guy, 110%. I'm very excited to see Son through the middle again, and I'm actually pleased that we didn't see an unchanged 11 because I don't want to delve too much into the things that we don't know, like what's keeping Richarlison's head out of things, and we only know with what he's shared, etc.
yeah.
But I didn't want to see it as like, okay, he's trying to get his head right. Let's use this game as an opportunity to throw him in there and really let him shine. And I think I see that, but I think that is ultimately going to do more damage than good
It's
when you
kill
put
or
the
cure, isn't it, man?
you put the spotlight on him. It's going to be tough, right? And you're having a hard time as it is away from the sport and at the sport. And then you put the bright lights on you. I don't think anyone wants that. So glad to see that. Again, the only thing that's giving me an icky taste in my mouth right now is the fact that I saw Dyer on the bench. I think the
Yeah, I
rest of the
know,
bench
man.
I'm fine with, but Eric Dyer on the bench. Paul,
Well,
if we're gonna assume if we're gonna assume what Ainge is saying is true, Paul, if what he's saying is the ones who I pick on the bench, the ones who are left out, they need to show me more in training. That was what he said yesterday, that they need to show me more and earn that spot on the bench. So if we're lending to believe what Ainge is saying is true, then surely, but don't call me surely, that means Eric Dyer did something at training that told Ainge to put him on the bench. Or was it Daniel Levy?
or maybe the alternatives weren't quite ready yet.
But how did at Burnley Ashley Phillips make the bench over Eric Dyer, but now Ashley Phillips can't make the bench over Dyer after there's been the meeting with Levy and Dyer? Is my question.
Oh, we're going back to MexicanAliens.com here, man.
I'm just
Look,
saying,
no,
Levy and Eric
no,
Dyer had the
look,
meeting, and
no,
then now Dyer's on the bench. What's going on?
look. I think I trust in Ange. I think he knows what he's doing, and it's all part of his grand plan. And maybe we don't understand what his grand plan is yet, but I've seen him do this so many times at so many teams all over the world, Australia, Japan, Scotland, and now England, that he just knows what he's doing. Now, speaking of Ange, he got Manager of the Month, which can be a bit of a curse, but he's also been nominated for FIFA Coach of the Year. Do you think that's as a totally unbiased, one-eyed Spurs fan? Do you reckon that was well deserved, or did he get lucky?
I think it's very much deserved. James Madison very much deserved. I think it's very much deserved. I mean, this is a guy, Paul, that I've said Ange Postecoglou is the breaker of curses. He's the breaker of chains, and the chains specifically meaning the chains that Conte put on certain players. But what I'm saying is, Ange Postecoglou is going to be the guy to break the myths. There's something inside that tells me that. Like when my wife was pregnant, something inside said it's going to be a boy, and lo and behold, it was a boy. So I'm just saying something inside tells me Ainge will be the one to break these curses that we have become synonymous with over the last few years. Mainly being that we fire our managers after they win the Premier League Player or Manager of the Month in August. True, when I saw the image, I was a little bit like, this feels familiar. I remember when Nuno won it and then was fired the next 2 months later, I think it was.
When Nuno won that thing, and after that start we had, how were you feeling though? Were you feeling good? Were you enjoying the spectacle that was unfolding? Did you have hope? Did you think that he was going to kick us on to better things, or do you think you're better off with it? You know what I mean? It's like you can get these trinkets and baubles, but if you haven't got the emotion of support behind it, does it really mean anything? And I know for me, I just think, I didn't think Ange would get the manager of the month, because the Premier League now have just painted themselves into a bloody corner, because they're going to have to give it to him for every month until the end of the season. So, because he's just going to get better and better. I thought they'd keep their powder dry a little bit, but no, they've jumped the gun. Everyone's got Ange fever. Even Arsenal fans are saying, "Oh yeah, I don't like Tottenham, but I quite like the Ange bloke." So how does that compare to Nuno, man? Nuno, who was buzzing about? Was there Nuno fever in El Paso?
It was a weird time when the Nuno thing happened, because Harry Kane, I was still coming to grips with the fact that he didn't want to be here. He wanted to go play for Manchester City. So at that moment, I was still a little bit like
And then
dealing.
he stopped playing for 3 months.
Yeah, that's true. But that's the thing. Nuno, again, the wins under Nuno was luck. I would say luck and individual brilliance. When you look at Heung-min Son opening match versus City, curling effort outside of the box, wins us that match 1-0 at home. When you look at stuff like that, that tells me that, Heung-min Son grabbed that game and won it for us. But the way we're doing things now, it's not Heung-min Son grabbing the game and winning it for us. It's not James Maddison grabbing the game and winning it for us. It's not Yves Bissouma destroying box to box. It's not individual brilliance that's winning us these matches. It's an accumulation of all these great players doing great things at the same time. And that's what's different than Nuno, than Conte, than Jose, all of our goals have been worked as a team goal. I don't know one goal that we've had that's been Heung-min Son versus Burnley, picking up the ball, driving it down the entire pitch. And I'm not just saying Son specifically. I'm just saying that Harry Kane, where he would, do nothing all match and then all of a sudden just pop up for a goal or two and then disappear again. It's just, we don't have that. We don't need that. We have a whole team clicking, rolling on all cylinders. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and that's why I think it's so different than before.
It is exciting, isn't it? And I agree with you about, the goals we've scored. We've scored so many great team goals, just basically the ball is just going through every player on the pitch. It's just wonderful to see. I had a question for. Oh yeah. I agree. I've heard you say this on your channel, and you mentioned it briefly earlier. And it's the way I feel about the way we're playing at the moment, is that we're so aggressive. It is like a boxing game, and it's like, okay, you're gonna have a go. We might have to take a couple of shots. Get Mickey the trainer maybe to cut their eye if things get bad. But teams, I just don't think they can last the 90 minutes against us. And when they fail, and it'll probably happen. It probably hasn't happened so much with our first games. It might happen against Arsenal or Liverpool, where it might be toe to toe for 70 minutes, but 70 minutes isn't 90. And if teams just get a bit punchy, a bit sloppy for that last 20 minutes, because Ange says we never stop, I think we can just easily punish teams in the last 20 minutes, the last 10 minutes, the last 5 minutes. It's when they give up, we're still coming at them full bore. Is it so? When did you start thinking? This is like a, it's almost like a fight. It's like it's two people going at each other until someone falls over. When did that hit you?
The writing on the walls for that was all preseason, but again, it's preseason, so I didn't want to put too much into it. But then I saw week 1 versus Brentford, and we put up the fight, and they wanted to fight us that whole match. You could tell. And that's fine, because we were still figuring out we were still adjusting to the weight of these gloves, so to speak. So when it comes down to when I first realized it was this boxing match, I would say it was Manchester United. When we played versus Manchester United, I really said, okay, look, this is a team willing to fight us the fight that we're trying to that we're bringing to them, quite frankly, and they were willing to go that to have that fight, the scrappy fight in the parking lot with us, but they were only willing to do it for 30, 40 minutes. And that's the thing. These teams like a Burnley, like a United, that came out and they tried to meet us in the parking lot for the fight that we're bringing to them. Yeah, they wanted to fight, but only a couple rounds. No one wants to go the full 90 minutes with us. And that's why I think, a lot of people say, oh, you got to wait until you have a bigger test. You got to wait until we play the Arsenals and the Liverpool. And that will happen in due time. This time next week, I'll be sitting here talking about how Tottenham are going to go into the Emirates and not lose. And I've said this on multiple channels, and I feel that confidently about it because I know even if we get punched in the mouth a couple times, we're going to keep swinging until there's no time left. So I know for a fact that if we have that right mentality, that at this juncture in the season, there's no reason that anybody should be able to stop us. That's just how I feel. It may be a little biased, like you said, one-eyed Spurs fan, but at the same time, look at the results that Arsenal got. They were lucky to get that result versus Fulham. They were lucky to get that result versus Nottingham Forest. That's what I'm saying is when you look at the way that they play, there's holes all over their pitch that we can operate and utilize and take advantage of. So I just think it's a different talk, man. I've always said super NES. This is super new era Spurs, and long may it continue for Ange Postecoglou.
Brilliant, man. All right, well, we're about to wrap up here. Don't forget, folks, that We Are Tottenham TV will be back at 11:45 with a superb watch-along. So, Jacob, where can people find you? And what is your prediction for the scoreline tonight?
Well, anyone who's interested, any fellow Americans who do want to show some love, or anyone around the world, we do have I was looking at the numbers last night, Paul. Most of the people who watch, it used to be UK and America. Now it's UK, then Australia, and then America. So Australia is now the number 2 demographic of viewers of United Spurs of America.
You don't need to thank me too much, man.
Yeah, that's all you. No, that's all you. You got all them kangaroos. They're streaming my shows, and I appreciate that. Shout out to kangaroos. United Spurs of America, like it says right here on YouTube. At Spurs of A on Twitter or X.
I believe that's the United States #1 Tottenham Hotspur fan channel, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken on that, but I think that's what
I think technically you're right, Paul. Technically you're right. The #1 Spurs fan channel in America, but I don't want to boast that too much. I don't want to toot that horn too much, but sorry.
And what's the score tonight, Jacob?
The score, I'm saying it's going to be a 4-1 win for Tottenham Hotspur. I think Son gets a brace. I think Madison gets one, and I've predicted Destiny Ugodi to get a goal as well. I think he's going to turn up in some places. He's going to do some things. So I feel like it's going to be a nice, fun day. We will concede because we're at least going to present the option to concede. If they choose to eat the dinner we present is another story. But I think we will. Pedro Porro, I love him to death. Beautiful passes. But he's shown you from time to time he can allow balls in over the top pretty much at will at any moment during the match. So I think for me, that's why I say 4-1 and not 4-0, because I think we will give them an opportunity to score, and they should go and grab that goal. That's my prediction anyway. I think that it'll be a fun match either way. But we're going to present them an opportunity to score. I think we'll either go down 1-0 or they'll tie it 1-1, but then it's going to be like Usain Bolt, man. The first lap around the park, yeah, y'all might be keeping up with me, but that second lap is when the class really starts. So the second half for me is when all the goals are going to really start flying in.
Usain Bolt doing 2 laps? What did he? He didn't do 800.
I don't know how track and field works, man. It was just an analogy.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Paul. You can find me at Hotspur Hippie YouTube channel. And my prediction is, and this is a problem with doing pump-ups, man, because I started earlier today thinking it's going to be 6-0. But then I went on Irish Hotspurs pump-up, and I felt a bit more amped. So I went 7-0. But after talking to Jacob and David on the home of Tottenham on YouTube, We Are Tottenham TV, I'm even more pumped. Ange did it before. Celtic beating Dundee United 9-0, so I'm going 9-0, man. I'm going 9-0.
9-0.
Sooner or later this season, some team is going to get an absolute thumping from Tottenham. And
It's
it's either
going to be
going to be
Sheffield.
Sheffield United or Luton Town or Arsenal next week. But, I think it's going to be 9-0, man. 9-0. What the hell, eh? What the
Yeah,
hell?
why not? Go ahead.
Why?
Say it loudly. Say it proudly. I love it.
Doesn't affect anything. I mean, people go on about XG and all that sort of rubbish, so I might as well just be silly as well. Anyway, folks, come back for the watch along in 15 minutes on We Are Tottenham TV. It's good night for me and it's good night from Jacob.
Good morning.
Till then, peace and love, man. Come on, you Spurs.